You can have a pillow under. Second video, this is part 2. So we're in half a shoelace. This is part 2. We're lengthening up. We're going to take our strap over the bottom foot. We're rising up through the spine, equal weight through sits bones, and we're going to stretch forward. Keep your spine reaching long, sits bones grounded. Think of a string lifting your breastbone up. That way we bend from the hip socket, we hinge from the hips rather than bending from the spine. Stretch to top ahead. We lengthen our spine on the inhales. Inhales helps facilitate your spine to elongate. For a deeper stretch up the back of the leg, you could flex your foot. Release hamstring, low back, and hip. We're going to do one more deep inhale. And gently we're going to lengthen up out of this pose. All right, we're going to take that off. Bring your knees in front. We're going to shake out the knees for a moment. Then I'll have you do a little windshield wiper, meaning you just take your hands, draw the knees in, side to side several times. Just do a little windshield wiper side to side. Okay, time for our mermaid, Ekapataraj Kapotasana, the other way. Okay, come to your hands and your knees, all fours. Again, I'm going to face off opposite way. We had the left knee bent, right leg behind us. Now it's going to be right leg bent, left leg behind us. Before we do that, go ahead and press into your downward dog. So curl the toes under, scoop your core, press up, and now you're going to just slowly press the weight back through the hips and the heels, getting into your view. Pull your breastbone forward and through. Feet are like hip width apart. Arm bones twist out into the socket. External rotation, going deeper into those shoulder joints. Breastbone pulls forward and through. Get that elongation and opposition. Feel space open between the ribs and the hips. We want the hips to stay in that equal alignment that we established at the beginning of our class. Hip bones aligned straight across. Space between ribs and hips. Okay, we're going to take, we had our left leg behind us before and our right leg in front. So this time we're going to have our left leg in front and our right leg behind. So you're going to take your right knee up and then you're going to bend the right knee towards your right thumb. And then it's like if you have to realign your hips, bring the hands a little closer together. See how the top of that foot just goes straight down. Kneecap goes to floor to mat. I gotta make some space where I'm at. Okay. Back knee points down. Tailbone long. Your hips are aligned. And again, don't worry if your front shin isn't totally aligned. This is the same side, I just realized. Left knee bends, left knee to left thumb. Now this is the opposite side, I just felt it. Okay, your left knee's in front, your right leg is behind, and then it's okay if this isn't, if it's more advanced, if your shin, your knee and your ankle are parallel, straight across. It's okay if you don't do it advanced. If you have a slight angle like that, it's totally fine. This hip rotates forward. Now just sit tall for a moment. Lengthen your spine up. For pigeon, for swan, I want you to feel how your back knee faces straight down to the mat. Ball of the top of your foot's on the mat. Knee in alignment with your ankle. Just allowing this hip flexor to lengthen. Piriformis, glute over here, hip to open. So I'm just having you do a different stretch today where you sit upright. Feel this openness right through here. All right, so if you have your belt, you're going to reach and grab your belt. All right. I might go out of alignment just to get my foot in the strap because pretty tight. I have to admit, I'm pretty darn tight. haven't done anything with my knee twisting backward in a long time. I don't want to hurt myself again, so I'm avoiding certain exercises. Okay. You have the strap over the bottom of your foot. Now you got to realign your pelvis so you're not out of alignment, meaning you're going to twist forward, get the two hips to align, and then we want to create length here so we don't arch back. That tailbone drops down long. You might just do one arm overhead like this. Point your elbow forward. Shoulder away from ear. And if you have enough stability across your pelvis, because you don't want your pelvis to rotate or anything, you can reach both arms up behind your head and your elbows point forward like that. I'll slide over here a little more so you can see my alignment. My kneecap points down. You could have one arm rest on the mat for stability. If you feel like your pelvis is level and you're not twisting your hips, then you could add both arms, reaching up overhead. Just keep lengthening up, tailbone long. Really stretch that spine. You're going to feel this hip open. The other hip is laterally rotating. That thigh bone laterally rotates in the socket. Stretching straight up through your spine. Just go into the stretch and breathe. Tailbone long. It starts to actually feel really good once you get through the initial shock of it. Rising up. Let's do one more deep inhale. And one more time, deep inhale. Slowly, you're going to start to release your arms. Release your foot from the strap. Okay, now I'm going to have you just turn, face forward, ground into each one of your sits bones. And then we're going to go right into our half shoelace on the other side. So you take that knee, the bottom leg, knee faces up. Both sits bones are grounded. Your shoulders are just going to be right in line over your hips. I'm just trying to line everything straight like this. The knees just going over the bottom knee. You might have more flexibility than me. You might have less, so it could look different. Maybe your legs over here more. That's totally fine. It's totally okay. Maybe it's out a little. You could always put a cushion or a block if your knee's out there more. Put something under to support it. Okay, take your strap. Go ahead and bring it over your foot. Feel how the thigh bone sinks into the mat. Bottom leg, kneecap is up. Sink into your pelvis. Rise all the way up through the spine to the top of your head. So we don't want to bend from our back. We're going to hip hinge from our hip sockets. And you're just going to gently, you can pull on your strap. Keep the length, keep the length, keep the length as you go over. Feeling a nice release in my low back. It's not painful. It should feel like space opening apart from the low back, right in the center of it. Space opening. Back of thigh lengthens. This side of the hip is going to be stretching and opening. A widening feeling. Keep lengthening your spine. Keep your breastbone long. You'll feel a give naturally without forcing it when you take the breath into the tightness. You'll just naturally release more and more. Let's take one more deep inhale here. Slowly, you're going to make your way back up. Uncross that leg. Maybe just do a little knee shake for a second. And again, take your hands by your sides. Draw the knees in and do your little sway side to side. I almost got a cramp in my calf. Woo! Almost got a cramp on this one too. Inhale, exhale. All right. If you have a block, I want you to sit on it. If you don't have a block, you could take a blanket and fold it 4 ways to create like a little stand to sit on, or you could sit on a pillow. So we're going to take our block and we're going to sit directly with our sits bones on top of it. So we're just going to bring it right under us like this. So you're going to ground down. You're centered. And then you're going to let one leg slide out. Knee faces up. you're going to push through this part of the foot. Your heel stays on the mat. You're going to push through the ball of the foot and really push and lengthen outward. You're going to center yourself on your block. Okay. And then we're going to take that other leg out. Again, heel is going to be on the mat. You're going to push through the ball of your foot. And then I don't want you to force. Your heel is going to be on the mat. You can flex your feet. Your kneecaps are up. You're centered. You're grounded. I'm just adjusting a little bit. So you don't want to feel off. You don't want to feel like you're more onto one of your sits bone than the other. And I kind of felt like I was, so I had to shift a little from side to side. You might have to shift a little through each half of your pelvis. That's okay. You don't have to have your knees as wide as mine, or maybe you're wider. Either or, it's all good. There is no right or wrong. The right or wrong would be knees to sky and your toes pointing up. And then what you do, you rise up through the spine and you hip hinge forward, staying centered so we don't collapse our spine. And you shouldn't feel pain like you're forcing it, like you can't stand it anymore. You should just feel like it's okay, like you're going as far as you can without force. So we're doing our straddle. It'll prepare for a middle split. Tonight's not the actual middle split. If you can do one, go for it. You would level out and just go straight out to the sides. Keep your spine reaching long. Just give your body a chance to catch up to each segment you go to. Again, no, you don't need to force anything. You could even bring your forearms to the mat if that feels good to you. My stomach. It sounded like a cat meowing. That was weird. I don't have a cat. Pull your sternum forward and really lengthen out of your center. I'm trying to push my heels down into the mat. I'm not locking the knees. Had a little bit more give. I wouldn't do this if you have herniated discs because it wouldn't feel good. And even if it was okay, like it might not feel good later. So use discretion. I wouldn't do this kind of motion with disc herniations. Because it pushes the disc out the opposite side of the spine. That's not what you want. So you lengthen top of head away from tailbone. For Kung Fu, like you can reach arms straight out sideways. Bringing chest down to the mat. Head away from tailbone. Or you could just have your arms go straight out in front of you to the floor. And again, you're not bending from your spine. It's a hinge from your hip socket. Spine is long. Whew. Hopefully you're feeling good. I'm getting more of a release. I bet you are too. Keep breathing into it. You'll notice how your body just falls more and more into it as you release more without forcing it. It just takes time and patience and breathing and alignment. We'll just take a couple more deep inhales here. One more time. Slowly. You're going to walk your hands in. I felt my lateral hamstrings on that one. Then I'm going to have you bring one leg in. How much time do we have? Okay. So we're going to do half a straddle. You just pull one leg in. You're still on each sits bone. Take your strap and you're going to loop it over your foot. Notice how knee is still facing up. And I'm doing this because we're going to stretch our sides longer. Sink down into your pelvis, rise up, and then you would lift up. I'm going to have you do a little stretch this way to lengthen your sides. You're going to push one arm against the ground, and then you're just going to stretch this side back. Lifting up, creating length in sides of waist. If you are more flexible in your sides, more flexible than me, if you're sitting all the way down on the mat, you could place this forearm, this elbow down to the inside of your straight leg, and then you could just lift this arm straight up over your head towards your feet, your toes. You could grab your foot if you had the flexibility. You're just not sinking your lumbar spine together. You have to rise up before you stretch over. And then this would be my version of grabbing my foot. And it's totally fine because I feel a deep stretch through my side. So if you can grab your foot, if you could reach for your ankle, you rise up to stretch over. We're almost going to go to the other side in a sec. Slowly going to make our way back up. Slide your foot in. Now take the other foot out. Notice how kneecap is facing up. This foot pulls in towards opposite side of inner thigh. And I'm going to end this video as soon as we finish this